I got a thing. I got a big thing. I got the Razor Crest. This is the Haslab Mandalorian Razor Crest, designed to work with the 1/18 scale 3 3/4 inch figures. It's so far the biggest Razor Crest produced commercially, and rather than getting the model kits that are currently on the market, this is going to be mine. And this is an unboxing of this beast. The tape has been cut. The value diminished! Which is actually not insignificant, because this particular toy, I made the mistake of going online, and now that people are receiving these, I went onto eBay to see just what this ship is selling for. And yeah, there are people who received this that I'm sure that reselling it was the entire purpose of buying it in the first place, including those that are parting it out. That their whole thing was that they bought it and then they opened it up and took it apart and they're selling the individual pieces. Which makes sense for an older toy if you have one of the pieces and you could sell that, so that way somebody could rebuild their old toy. But doing that for a brand new thing that just released doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But that's the world we live in. So I am currently trying to get the box off of this. It is very well packed in a huge block of styrofoam. Instructions. All right. Gotcha. Now, let me see. Make sure this is in camera. Go ahead and rotate this around. All right. So, now there have already been a number of unboxings of this put out online, so I'm not doing anything particularly new here. But a lot of the people I've spoken to didn't know this existed. So I am making this to help them see just what it is that I'm so happy about getting. So we have on the top here the landing gear. Despite the size, the landing gear does not actually fold up into the ship. So we have the 2 rear landing gear. There's the front one. Very nicely detailed. I'm going to be doing close-up images of all these pieces after it's all been taken out of its packaging. And we have 2 of the carbonite chambers. Because as we saw in the premiere episode, that Din Djarin would actually tend to freeze his bounties in a chamber on the ship and then just haul them in. And so this toy actually comes with several of these. So we have a Rhodian. This one, I'm pretty sure, is the Mithril from the first episode and in season 2. I really wish they would have given that poor guy a name rather than just calling him by his species. That seems just wrong that the poor guy has no name. And now, the big line. I mentioned that these are reselling for crazy amounts. The original price of this toy was $300. The way that Hasbro is doing these big ticket items is they have a website called Haslab. And so they do basically their own internal Kickstarter. They set up a campaign saying, hey, here's a toy. It's a big fancy collector's item style of toy, and we think people are going to like it. Here's how much it is. And they only produce the number that are purchased in the campaign. They don't actually go forward with production unless they hit a minimum target. This has happened before. Recently, they actually did not hit the target for a 1/12 scale Black Series Rancor. And so that did not go into production. Personally, I think that if they would retool it now, offer that same Rancor with a saddle, and include a 6-inch boba that was capable of riding, and a Rancor Keeper Danny Trejo figure, I think it would do really well. But just based off of its brief appearance in Return of the Jedi, it just didn't succeed in funding. But this was originally $300. Judging by the scale, you can see why. This thing is massive. And the prices that I've seen now is that it seems to be a regular thing to have people paying close to $1,000 for this toy. There was a lot of internal debate in myself on whether or not I was going to hold on to this or if I should go ahead and just sell it. But I know if I did, I'm never going to get another one. It will always forever be out of my reach, and I will probably regret it. And I plan on keeping the packaging. I'm keeping all the parts. So I know if I wanted to, I can always sell it at a later time. It's not like the value is going to go down on this because it's just going to be bought up by people, and it will then be even more rare. Here is a 1/18 scale Mandalorian Din Djarin that it comes with. He's the new type of figures that actually have good articulation. You know, I came from the generation of the original Star Wars figures that had 5 points. Hips, shoulders, head, that's it. You know, the idea of a knee joint was, you know, just crazy talk. Until G.I. Joe came out and blew our minds. But this is a really nice little figure. And he's got his soft goods cape. And they specifically mentioned a few times they did that so you could sit him in the cockpit. And he comes with the accessories that you would expect him to have. He's got his rifle, he has his pistol, he has his jetpack. There are two more of the Bounty cubes. So we've got two more people frozen, a woman and a man. I do not know who they are. The other reviewers I've seen actually said who they are by name, but I don't know them. But I just think that's almost, wow, that woman is really angry. I'll take nice close-up pictures, but boy, she's pissed. In my head, that's Sarah Connor. She's just mad. She is very unhappy. We've got, here's one of the guns that go on the side. We've got the pair of those. Those are very nice, very large and detailed. This comes with two carded action figures. One, we have a Jawa Elder who has two eggs, one with the top cut off, his kukri knife, a couple of rifles, a pistol, and a soft goods cloak, which is very cool. And then we have, of course, a wee baby Grogu. In 1/18 scale, he's teeny. He's maybe, I'll have to measure, but he's maybe 2 centimeters tall. He's teeny. He's got his hover pram, which they vacuum metallized, so it's like a chrome, so it almost looks like it should be made out of Beskar because his pram is completely shiny. The lid snaps on there to cover him up. It's got a clear stand so it hovers. It's got a little bowl for bone broth. So, and I like that they actually put his name on the card. So it's not just the child. I'm sorry, Disney, but nobody called him the child except for employees who had to. He was Baby Yoda. Thank you for giving us a real name. If I were to sell anything now, it would probably be these two. Because of what I'm going to be doing with this toy. Putting them back safely into their container. Here is one of the engines. Oh, that is massive. It's got some transparent parts in the back. Nice orange. It does actually look like it's burning, so that's kind of cool. This toy has no lights in it, which many found it to be odd given the price point. But considering the levels of detail that went into it and the paint apps that have gone into it, I'm honestly not that surprised it doesn't have lights and sounds. This is beautifully sculpted in here. There's a lot of detail in the engine. There's a lot of detail underneath the panels. There's no paint in the engine part itself. Even these connection points where it snaps into the ship have tons of little details and bits. So it looks like it's just been disassembled rather than a toy that's been taken apart. It's got actual detailing in there. It's got a nice wash over the whole thing, give it a bit of a grungy look. So there's the first engine. Here's the second. And now the main event. the wrapping too badly. I want to preserve as much of the original packaging as I can, in the off chance of future change of ownership, but right now she's mine, all mine. Oh my goodness. Oh, I can assure you that this video does not convey the scale of this thing. This is just massive. This is a huge toy. It's basically a whole play set in itself. Tons of panels that come off. Lots of area that you can play with inside. Has a button on top so you can remove the whole upper hull. So you've got forward and rear ramp with sliding pistons. I like that. Didn't know it had the pistons. That's cool. You've got the side ramp with pistons, little extending ramp out the front there. And now this whole side comes off loudly, so you can get to everything inside. This is a fabric mesh here, so you can actually have things netted up to the wall. There are a number of hooks and things in here which accommodate a bunch of accessories that are in the box here. It has a lot of bags, straps, weapons, all sorts of things that attach to the walls. Here's the inside wall that came off here, so it shows a lot of detailing. It's got lockers, it's got bags already up there, and then it's got these hooks that you can attach other stuff. So this is very, very cool. It has the carbon freeze chamber. So that's where he throws people in and freezes them for the trip back to get paid. And then on the underside of the top here, we have these, which are actually clips for the carbon freeze units. So that way they hang from the ceiling, and then you could even move them off to the side, which is just neat. It's very well thought out. It's very clever. Another thing they put into the top here is there's another panel that comes off, and they designed this as an escape pod. Never used in the show, but it totally works as something that could be. Maybe it was from concept art, I don't know. But there we go. There's an escape pod built into the Razor Crest. And all the detailing inside here is also really, really good. They did a nice wash even inside here, and they didn't have to. And Everything snaps together nice and solidly. Just feels very sturdy, very hefty. There's the underside of the roof. I'm very pleased with the build quality of this. Here's the cockpit. Let's see how do I get this off. Looks like you pop it off from the front. Here's the cockpit, and I'll do some more nice detail shots, but that's scaled to fit these figures. I like that it's got raised controls in there. It's got both joysticks. You know, you can tell they put a lot of effort to try and match up what the cockpit looks like on the show. And then in the front here, which I'll have to get into with some B-roll footage basically, you actually have the latrine, which according to Hasbro, this is the first time they've ever put a bathroom inside of a Star Wars toy. Then there's the bunk, which only goes in about an inch. It should be going to about here because that's where Din Djarin's supposed to sleep. It only goes in about an inch, and it has a little hammock in the top there for Grogu. And then it has the weapons locker. And all of the weapons that go in there come with the ship. And there's even a little chart that shows where everything hangs, and they matched it from the screenshot of the show, which is pretty cool. We've been including like some teeny thermal detonators and such. So they put a lot of effort and love into this design. But compromises were made, such as we've got our door over here. Oh look, there's a door right there. Except for when you go to the inside, that's the weapons locker. What they essentially did, and this has been the case for every Star Wars toy since the original X-Wing and TIE Fighter, is that they had to scale it to be practical to sell. The action figure is what it is. It's the size that they decided. The ships are always scaled small. They work with the figures. They're fun to play with. I know I certainly loved them, but we all know that when you got the old Millennium Falcon, that only seated 2 in the cockpit when there should have been, you know, 2 more seats behind them. And that, you know, the entire interior of the ship was one room. That, yeah, that was, you know, a quarter of the size it should have been. The X-Wing, well, we've recently gotten a part work model kit of a 1/18th scale X-Wing. That is what was a proper scale to those action figures. And this is the same. Based on this length, 30 inches. I did some measuring and some research, and the scale of the actual ship as it should have been, basically it comes out to where this ship is actually 1/32 scale. And so that's my intention, is to make this a 132 scale model. I'm going to remove all the interior, the cockpit, all of the inner hull, and use my resin printer and scratch building and rebuild it to proper scale. It'll have the 2 floors because it actually has the cockpit level that goes back to about here, and then it has the lower level above it, which is a fully standing height. So that's my intention, is to redo the entire interior of this and add electronics. There is a ton of space in this. I can open up these engines, take them apart. We've got lots of accessible screws. Put lights in there. Just use the plastic they already have and just light that up. Maybe put some lights in the front. Paint up the insides of the engines where the panels come off. And make this into a real showpiece that'll be unique to this one and only copy of the Razor Crest. So that's my intention for this purchase. You know, when I first got it, I wasn't sure if that's something I was going to want to do or not. I saved up for it for a little while to get it, and thankfully those Haslab campaigns, they do give time, and they get most of their sales at the end of it, because it does take a while to save up for some of these things. You know, some people can jump in right away, but that's hardly everybody. This goes in from the bottom. There we go. And so this is going to be my high-end display model of this beautiful ship, which sadly met her end far too soon. And it certainly doesn't hurt that she looks like a military cousin of Serenity. Another thing that they included, which I think is very, very, very cool, is that they actually included a display stand with the ship. These funky swoopy pieces attached to this. Which is just lovely for a display piece. These are very sturdy, very solid pieces here. Snap on the guns. And there are other features of this that has a lot of other panels that come off. It has hidden guns in the back that were never used on the show. This is one of those things that the toy producers love to do, because they were building it with the idea that they wanted people to play with it. So they put in play features, and I certainly can't fault that. It's a toy, that's what they made. I'm going to be treating it as a model, but that wasn't the original design intent. But boy, they sure did come up with a piece that is gorgeous. That is a display piece just by itself. Yeah, I could see somebody easily paying $300 for like a statue of something really, really beloved like that, and it not being a big deal. $300 for a toy, that's a statue. This is a tribute to the design work of the people who made this ship, and it is gorgeous. The outside, from everything I can tell, is absolutely correct and proportional. It's a beautiful 1/32 scale copy of the Razor Crest. And she's mine. And boy, this is gonna be a big project. But if you're interested to see how it goes, please like, subscribe, and we'll go through this journey together, because this is going to be worth taking my time. It's not going to be quick. I'm going to be doing a lot of prep, a lot of research, and there'll be a lot of other things that I'm working on in between. But I wanted to go ahead and get this out there and to show the world and my friends what it is that I got and what I'm intending to do with it. This has been Dan on Geekery Labs. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.